9 months ago, that was June, right? Was it June?
June 29th.
June 29th, 2016. We were here, this same spot, and that was where you took off. So 9 months after, you made it, and you're here. What's been the journey for you? Like, what has it been like?
You can imagine what I've seen, what I've been through, flying around the globe. I've seen it all. And I think the message is we've just tried to prove that we can do it as Africans. We're trying to inspire the youth to transcend, to go beyond. And most importantly, we're trying to inspire ourselves to embrace ourselves. I think what Nigerians, what Africans, and what the world needs is love. Embrace each other and look for each other's success.
What was the challenging part?
I mean, flying a single-engine aeroplane across the ocean, I flew across the Atlantic Ocean for like 11 hours. And then I flew from Iceland down to England for another 5 hours. I mean, flying something like this across the ocean is not easy because you have a lot of factors that could affect the aircraft's performance. It's not a big airplane. The Pacific Ocean was almost 50 hours from Gold Coast in Australia all the way down to California. So it comes with a lot of risk. But the most challenging part for me personally hasn't been the flying part of it. It's been the logistical part. It's been the support part from the African group, from the African continent as well. So we need more Africans to get behind great initiatives like this. And I think until we start doing that, we're not going to realize the real potential of that continent. Africa's got great people. I mean, you know it very well in the United States how many Africans are doing great stuff here. Come to Europe, the same thing. We need more Africans to do great stuff.
Why do you think a lot of people didn't really, support as they should have supported, or the African community, what was lacking?
It's on African. And that's the shell we all need to get out of. So that's the one thing we all need to get out of. Like, I've heard all sorts of comments. What you're doing is not very African. You're going to kill yourself. You can't do it. And I mean, this in very many respects, drives the people's mind not to support because they think you're going to fail anyway. And indeed, a lot of people did fail, but I didn't. So this is very un-African, and this is the whole message. We can do it too. I mean, we could have a country that is in the top 3 in the global stage. We could build airplanes, we could fly airplanes, we could do anything.
Okay, give me an example of a typical, a typical day in your experience of flying. Yeah. So, how did you eat? How did you sleep? I mean, how did you stay in touch with your family? And just what does it take?
I do have some quite sophisticated gadgets in here. I communicate through a satellite phone, and those are my receivers over there. You could track my movement on that.
Can we go inside? How do I come in?
You need to step on that.
Okay.
And then you step on this.
Okay.
And just watch for that, really.
Okay. Whoa. All right. So. This is Adedayo going next on this expedition. So you were explaining some of the gadgets that you used to stay in touch with family.
Well, I do have a satellite phone. I do have a tracker. I do have my iPad. Obviously, iPad these days you can do wonders on it. So I stay in touch all the time. I mean, every single landing flight I've done has been tracked, has been recorded online, and I do communicate with towers in different parts of the world that I fly through and everything. And there's obviously a process where you take permission before you go into any place and things like that. Yeah.
How was that process like? Do you, getting permits and stuff?
I think getting permits into different countries was definitely one of the most challenging part of this journey. Yeah. Like I said, the flying bit is only 20%. The actual bit is the rest of the things that go around it. For one, some people think you're a spy. They think, are you trying to come to our country to, So trust me, it's endless. You can't you can't imagine some of the things I've heard of seen.
What was the most, I don't know if you'll be able to say, but the most difficult country to access?
I wouldn't say yet. I wouldn't say yet.
That's
No,
fair.
not at all.
That's you got in. That's what matters. So what else can you tell us about this? I mean,
This is a Cirrus SR-22. It's a very modern aeroplane, but in its league, it's a very old one. This was the very first generation Cirrus SR-22s ever built. So in very many respects, it was a prototype. So you're more or less like a test pilot, you know? You're finding out some things, and you know, I've discovered some things about this airplane that I'm sure the makers of the airplane didn't know at the time. And you know, it's amazing. It flies beautifully, and well, what can I say? It's taken me around and it's brought me back safely. So it's a great machine.
amazing. I spoke with Cynthia, your wife, this morning, and we're going to go talk to her and talk to the kids and see what they have to say. Okay, let's go. Okay, so Cynthia, what do you have to say at this point? I mean, what has your experience been supporting him, and I mean, getting from the beginning to seeing the final lap of this?
It's a dream come true, and since I knew Lola from day one, this was something he always wanted to do. And the way he was so passionate about it, I knew I couldn't stop him. I wouldn't want to stop him, so I would do my best to support him and encourage him, which I think is what I've done. It's been frustrating sometimes, it's been exciting. It's been a whole mixture of emotions and struggles and challenges and everything. But communication was always our key. I shared in his dream and his beliefs, and I think that helped us a long way. You know, it brought us to today. So it's been a roller coaster of a journey. There's been, you know, highs and lows, and I'm really glad to be part of it and to be here with him, you know, in celebrating this moment.